All right, good morning. It is Monday, January 13th. I have a topic from a viewer, so thanks for leaving a comment. It's super foggy this morning. It's pretty crazy. And this is on the way to CrossFit, so my brain hopefully works as I'm trying to talk here. But yeah, crazy amount of fog. But the question is from a commenter, and it's regarding technology stacks, and we haven't gone over much of that kind of stuff on this channel. I think most of it's been kind of career focused, so I thought that'd be kind of interesting to respond to. I realize that there's going to be some overlap between viewers on this channel and my main one, Dev Leader, but also that there's actually probably a ton of people that don't watch Dev Leader, and Dev Leader is a basically similar type of channel in terms of career development and things like that, but all of the programming tutorials, which a majority of the videos are in C# and .NET for technology. So with that said, the question was about thoughts on switching to .NET and like C# development, and it was a little bit open-ended, I guess, but like how Java and things like Node so like JavaScript would be more common. So I figured I'd give some perspective on that, and then just wanted to remind folks, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments, and if you have things that you want to be kept anonymous, and or offer more details on, just look for Dev Leader on social media, send me a message, or Nick Cosentino on LinkedIn. Same thing, right? I've had a bunch of people do that. Works really well when I get more details. And one more friendly reminder that Mondays, 7 p.m. Pacific, on my main channel, Dev Leader, I do a live stream. It's very much on topics just like this one, but there's chat, because this is not live like you're watching now. But on Dev Leader at 7 p.m., it is live, and I basically go to the chat for all sorts of questions. So please join me there. It'd be great to see you. Okay, so of course, like I was trying to say, my bias is going to be that I am a .NET developer. I've been working with C# and .NET for, probably over 15 years now. And it is my programming language of choice, my sort of development ecosystem of choice, to the point where I will use C# for basically everything, even in situations where it's not necessarily the best tool for the job. It just so happens that for me, it is the best tool for the job given my comfort level. So that I'm just trying to acknowledge my bias when I go to talk through these things. But I want to be transparent and clear about this kind of thing. I don't think that there's like a best programming language. I don't like, as soon as you start saying that, it's like best at what, best for what situations, what's the context, right? So I think that's important to acknowledge. But I think what this person's asking is perhaps even more like, it seems like these other either languages or technology stacks are more common. So like, what's up with .NET, right? I think Java has been around longer than C#. And not only that, the ecosystem for Java development would have been significantly more open than C#, especially in the beginning, because C# originally was sort of like closed Microsoft technology. Java would be like everything is open. And then over time, what you have too, especially in the earlier days, is, even to today, right? You have a lot of people that basically refuse to use C# because it's like a Microsoft thing, right? Even though everything is open now, people love to find reasons to not use Microsoft things. I work there, but even before I work there, people would love to hate on anything Microsoft, right? And people do this not just with Microsoft, but different brands. For example, I don't like using Apple products. just like it's not my preference. But the difference, I guess, is like I don't just like I don't know, like unreasonably hate Apple. I just like don't enjoy using the products. Whereas some people are like very much like a lot of hatred towards Microsoft. So it's very interesting. But you have some of that coming along where people will just like refuse to use anything Microsoft, or like they'll say that and then they post it on LinkedIn, which is owned by Microsoft, or probably go back to play Xbox, which is owned by Microsoft, or something funny like that. But anyway, so the other thing too is like with Java, like in particular, we would have had Java working in Linux environments for longer than C# and .NET. And I think too that there's probably today still tons of people that think that C# and .NET only works on, why is this person tailgating me? Only works on like a Windows environment, which is not true. It's been able to run cross-platform for many years now. So there's just like a lot of misconception, I think, about C# and .NET, and people don't realize like how powerful it is. So not only powerful, like when I say powerful, we haven't talked about like performance or anything like that, but it used to be not faster than Java, and like now it's like actually it's a very fast language. But you'll have people that like use Rust and C and C++ and say, "Oh no, it's not fast at all." But like it's fast. It's maybe not as fast as some of those languages in some situations, but quite a fast language. We use it in so I work at Microsoft. The area that we work in is it's a, sort of the platform for Office 365, which is called Substrate. And so Substrate is composed of all of these platform teams, and it's like the infrastructure for these services. And in particular, I work on the routing plane. So we have like the firewall. We have the ability to take requests and, oh man, come on, get in here, and route them between like from all of the users like on the outside of Microsoft to the Office 365 products between the services. So we do all of that routing. We do have stuff in C++, absolutely, but we have a lot of code in C#, and we handle trillions of requests per day. So my point in saying that is like, it's able to do the work. It's just that sometimes people are like, there's no way it could, so we won't even entertain it. So that's one thing. I'm going to come back to some cross-platform stuff and sort of like different ecosystems at the end of this. But I wanted to address the my thoughts on like Node, and I guess this person's also suggesting JavaScript. So one of the reasons I think that, and like this isn't me like picking on the other ecosystems. It's actually like I think a great thing. Like Node is JavaScript, right? And I think that right now, and probably for the last few years, and probably going forward, right, there are tons and tons of people that are getting started in software development working in JavaScript, right? And I think that a lot of people get started particularly working in the front end. Right? So they're going to learn HTML, CSS, how to drive with your lights off at 5:40 in the morning on the highway, like an absolute imbecile. But there's going to be people that like focus on basically JavaScript for the entire first bit of their software development journey. And I think a lot of people get exposed to front end. I think there's a lot of reasons for this, but like number one, there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of stuff for boot camps and resources that are like targeting very junior developers. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle where, people learn it, and then eventually people are teaching other junior people it. And I'm not saying this to indicate that it's only for junior people. I just mean that there's so much that's aimed at like how to get started and like, let's get you into front-end web development. So much material on this stuff. So I think that happens, and then you basically have like an overwhelming majority of people. I don't have stats on this, so take that for what it's worth. It seems that way to me, this overwhelming majority of people that when they get started in development, it's web development and they know JavaScript. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, so don't misinterpret that. But I think then what happens is people go, cool, okay, like I've been doing stuff in the front end, but like, what about full stack? What if I want to do like back end stuff or whatever else, right? But then they start doing, I mean, it's just web development. They're going to be looking at Node at some point. It would be ridiculous if they're not. So then they start seeing Node. They start working with like the server side of Node. It's kind of weird to talk about this stuff because like even for the stuff we build, we have our front end, which has like a Node server. I'm talking about Brand Ghost, by the way, the SaaS that I'm building. So our front end, it's like there's a server for the front end, which sounds kind of funny, but like it's still server side. But anyway, you have you just have Node to be able to use in this situation, and I think that you have a lot of people that take their experience with JavaScript and they're able to transition over to that very easily, right? So then if you had someone who knows JavaScript well and you're like, okay, time to go spin up a new web application, like they're probably going to stick to what they know. And if they know JavaScript, even if they've never used Node up until that point, it's a very good opportunity for them to say, cool, like, can I just use JavaScript for this? Yeah, great. Like, let me go do that. So I think when we're talking about other languages, like outside of C#, in this case, we're talking about Java, we're talking about Node and JavaScript. Like, I think that there's just so much usage of these languages outside, and like historically, like basically everything on the web is JavaScript. It's like the language of the web. I'm not talking about the markup language. I'm just talking about the scripting language that gets used in every single browser. So, like, yeah, like there's just a ton of exposure to this stuff. So when people then say, well, compared to like C# compared to those things, it's like it's not a lot. And it's like, yeah, but I hope that makes sense. Why, right? It doesn't mean that it's inferior. It's just different. Okay, and that's going to be kind of like the, I hope the moral of the story of this video is that for programming languages, it's not about one being better or worse. They're just different tools for different jobs. And that's going to kind of segue into this last part I kind of want to chat through, which is like sort of usage for C# and .NET Tech, okay? So there's a bunch of different, holy cow, look at this guy passing me. It didn't seem like it. That truck's probably going almost 100, but he crossed 4 lanes at the same time. There's a lot of different like tech stacks that we get with the .NET ecosystem now, which is really cool, because as a C# developer, I can go make basically anything now, and like be pretty comfortable doing it. So I think, like I was kind of hinting at before, historically, people used to say, okay, like you can only do Windows desktop-based development with C#. So that kind of limits you to what you're able to do, right? For me, that wasn't so bad because my career was basically making Windows applications before Microsoft. So not so bad. But for some people, they're like, that's not going to work for me. That's not what I'm doing. But we have ASP, and we have like now it's ASP.NET Core. And so we can make web servers. There was web forms. So we have like basically the back-end web tech is completely covered with ASP.NET. Windows desktop development completely covered with WinForms and WPF. Then we have, and people, this is where people are going to start to get up in arms, but we do have a cross-platform mobile technology with .NET that's called Maui. There was something before this called Xamarin. Your mileage will vary. People are going to say, I use Xamarin, it was absolute trash. or I use Maui, it's absolute trash. But like, I haven't used Maui, I use Xamarin. I was able to make cross-platform apps with Xamarin, no problem. Did I run into issues periodically? Sure. But like, I've made a bunch of different apps that were, you know, build it once and in C#, and then it works on Android and iOS. So that was great. And Maui is supposed to be like the successor of that. And again, like I said, I know people listening to this that are aware of these technologies that have used them. They might start to have a lot of strong opinions bubbling up. But that's an option for people that want to do mobile development with .NET. And now, one of the most recent things that's really cool is that we have something called Blazor. And Blazor is an option for .NET developers to do front-end web development with C# and .NET, which is great. And then people will say, well, you know, what are they thinking? Like, why does Microsoft think they ever have a chance of like displacing JavaScript, and we have like React and we have all these other things? Like, that's so stupid. Look at the market share. Like, you know, what a waste of time. But like, I think people aren't seeing it maybe the same way, and that's fine. But I don't think the idea was ever that Microsoft was saying, hey, we're going to go make this to replace React. I think what they did is actually enabled people like me that are like a C# developer. And I told you this, I kind of threw it in at the beginning of this talk on purpose, but like, I will use C# basically for everything. And it's not because I think it's the best, most superior language in all contexts, but for me to be productive, like basically, I can code my way out of situations if I'm using C# because I'm very comfortable using it. If I have to go use another language and like use another tech stack to go navigate something, sometimes it's just more work for me that if I wanted to go prototype something or get something stood up, I'm like, I might as well try to find a way to make it work in C#. Now with something like Blazor, people like me have this opportunity where it's like, if I want to go make something in the front end, I can go use C# to go do that. And for me, it's actually awesome. Like, that means that no longer am I in this situation where, and like Brand Ghost is a perfect example. We don't use Blazor just because of the team distribution and the familiarity with other tech in the front end. But for me to go do something like Brand Ghost, I would be kind of stuck being like, I could go make, and I've made the entire server side of Brand Ghost, but I've never been comfortable enough to go spin up a front end because it kind of feels like, I don't know, like my thumbs are tied together. What if I have to go to do something in the front end? Like, I'm just not a very skilled front end developer. But when you layer in something like Blazor, even though I don't have a ton of experience in the front end, I can still now be very productive because all of it is very familiar to me, which is awesome. So I'm happy that Microsoft has kind of pursued some options like this to really allow C# and .NET developers to have access to things like this. Now, if this person, just to kind of go back to the original question, if the curiosity was really around like job accessibility and stuff like that, I think personally, my experience has been like, I mean, if you know C#, you know Java. The syntax is almost identical. The languages are very, very similar. So it's not like if you knew one and not the other, you'd be stuck in your career and you could never progress. So that's something to consider. The other thing is, you know, I would say, and I've said this before, that like when I hire, I'm not looking specifically for languages that people know. I'm looking for people's ability to learn things, right? So if you know an object-oriented language, I think you'll be able to pick up another one reasonably quickly. So it's not, in my opinion, like what language you know, especially the further you get into your career, is not the limiting factor. If you're a junior, you might have no experience in some language, and that's going to take some more time to ramp up. But after a while, if you learn one, you can learn another. So I hope that helps. Just a quick one for this morning, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.